you once, and I'll tell you twice. The way I feel, here's my advice. I told you once, and I'll tell you twice. The way I feel, here's my advice.
Hi, this is Theo right here on Shakedown. Apologies for not making a podcast last week. I actually didn't have anything to talk about, but then I found an inspiration. I got the idea of how I can actually talk about this in greater length. And I was going to talk about men who have fallen from grace. This has been over the last few years, but what got me the idea was at my partner's situation at the moment. I'm sure you heard by and about now, he's got arrested for drink driving. ITV have pulled Anton Deck's Saturday Night Takeaway. They're trying to review the final two shows should go ahead if Ant can actually get over his problems and see if he can actually return to the show. It's lead a lot of people down. Either people that's actually been on the plane and everything, winning the competition to go to Orlando for a week. It's in serious doubt because they're wondering what's going to happen to their prizes. Should they go or should they not go? It's all these cumulative things. It has a domino effect on everybody, and I'm sure Deck kind of feels kind of miserable right now because his best friend is in trouble, but he's also in trouble. His livelihood as well is taken from it as well. I'm sure he's going to do everything that he can to support him. We should do everything we can to support him. Yes, I agree with you. If you're going to belittle me on this, I agree that he should be thrown at the book and everything. He should have some sort of punishment from this. Because it's unacceptable. If this was myself or you guys that's listening that's done this, we would be in trouble. We'd probably have a license revoked. We have to go on a training course or something. We have to do something to take our punishment, as it were. So, with that in mind, I thought I'd talk about men who have fallen from grace. And I went through work the past few days, and I started to write down people who have fallen from grace over the years, and also I'm going to talk about how we can live better as men. If there's a way back from making our mistakes, and if you have made mistakes, can you live with it? That's the thing. So, from all that from the inspiration from Ant McPartland, I thought I'd just do this podcast and talk about how men have fallen from grace over time. And I'm not going to go back to history, like complete history of everybody's fallen over. Let's point out this from the beginning. Everybody does make mistakes, but it does cost a lot more than others. So I'm going to talk about what's happening. So I'm going to start with Jimmy Savile. I'm sure you've heard of him. He presented Jim will Fix It. I didn't really know about him, if I'm truly honest. I remember watching Mock the Week. I'm a big fan of Mock the Week, and Hugh Dennis actually mocks him and he does his voice, and I thought it was quite funny at the time. So I looked him up and I found out who he was and everything. And apparently he was one of these saints, apparent saints at the time, and he'd done things like hospital visits. He'd done things to fix people and everything. But what's happened is he would apparently he was victimizing people left, right and center. When I first heard about the story and everything, I said to myself, how is that possible? He couldn't have done that. Looking at him, he couldn't have done that. But then over time people started to come forward, and I just think, yeah, something's gone on here. What's interesting here is that he isn't even alive to defend himself, to hear his side of the story and everything. But the way that it's all sounded, obviously, I didn't really know him per se, or I'm not really a big fan or follower of his or anything else like that. But I have to say that it's really, really appalling that the fact that he could have so much power and everything, and he goes and does those sort of things. You can't do that when you're in a position of power and you're in in the public limelight, it's down to you how you conduct yourself from it all. Yes, you can have a private life and everything. Everybody's all entitled to private lives. But the truth of the matter is, you can't just go ahead and do that. Like raping and everything. It's stupid. Why would you want to present yourself in things like, oh, I'm this person, and I can do this because I can do whatever I want and everything. You can't get away with what you want. Sometimes you just gotta stay clear from people, and sometimes there's a way of engaging with people on a fan base, and you know that there's a line that you can't cross, and everything. And this guy, he just kind of, let's face it, he's took the piss really. I just can't believe that I can't believe it happened like that. So yeah, he's had I remember reading about his tombstone. He got it destroyed from his family and everything. His family literally are distraught and annoyed by it, and rightly so. It's just crazy how it's all happened, really. But I feel sorry for the victims that happened to do this. So having to come forward and share this story that's haunted them, because back then nobody would actually believe them. Nobody. And we live in a different world now where we have to kind of take the time out to listen to people, to say what's going on with themselves and see if there's a way we can actually rectify the problem. But I feel sorry for those who've gone through what they've gone through. So I'm going to move on, and I'm going to talk about Adam Johnson. Now, Adam Johnson is a professional football player, was a professional football player, I should say. And he has been seeing and contacting a girl that's underage. And he's been in court, and he's been guilty of raping and everything. And now he's in prison from it all. He's obviously lost his credibility. He's lost his reputation. Nobody wants to do anything for him, and he's obviously brought this on himself, to be brutally honest. I just think that to myself, like, why would you want to put yourself like that for? Why would you want to put yourself in that position where you had it all? You're playing football, and you're doing what most men like dream of doing, but instead you go ahead and you put yourself into that position, which you shouldn't have. Like, for the girl, I don't know how her life is going to move forward from this. I hope that she can, and there's lessons to be learned from it all. But it's just sad how it's all gone down. And now he's spending several years in prison. Like, obviously he's not going to be able to play football again, because no club could actually have him back. But we've seen the Ched Evans case is sort of similar, but he's like, apparently he's still playing football. He's been acquitted, but apparently he's been playing football. His reputation is still tarnished from it all. I don't know how he's going to live with it. I don't really follow the guy, neither Johnson, because I'm neither. They're not playing for my club Arsenal, so it's not really relevant to me. But I am a football fan, and this is actually concerning to me as a football fan, because we got people like that who do this, and unfortunately, it's just so sad that we have people that we're supposed to look up to. Sorry, shall I say? And it's just sad. It's just very, very sad. So I'm going to move on to Gary Glitter. Gary Glitter was a rock star in the 60s, 70s, even the 80s, I believe. I don't really follow the guy much, but then he found out he was like he was getting involved with young children, and it kind of made me sick to my stomach, actually, that he's done this and everything. He's now on the sex offenders register. Now, that some people, that once you're on that register, it's hard to come off it. Nobody's gonna touch you with a barge, but no one's gonna trust you. No one's Like, I don't know how people who are on that could actually live on their lives, so I can't really comment. But what I will say is that it's bad. It's really, really bad with what happened to him and everything. Like, again, this is Peter. This is linked to the guys that I just spoken about. He's got all this power. He's got all this like high, this fame and everything, and he went and just done that, and this it's just kind of sad how it's all gone down. But it's, I don't know how best I can actually describe this whole thing, because as a man you kind of feel a bit left down, and I'm not one to criticize everybody completely and just bashing them, but I don't know how these people that I mentioned so far can actually go on from this, how they can actually come back from this. I'm going to speak about another person now, and I'm going to speak about Oscar Pistorius. Now, this is a guy that I have followed over the last few years or so. Basically, he's been nicknamed the Blade Runner. He was the first first athlete, to compete both in the Olympics and the Paralympics. And basically, he's got prosthetic legs, but he's able to run like a normal person. So yeah, like with all that fame and all that attention that he has over his athleticism, the problem is with him now is that one day his girlfriend Reva Steenkamp on Valentine's Day came over to surprise him in his home in South Africa. He thought that there was somebody who broke into his house. He had a gun, and then he shot her. When I first heard about this as well, I was in a state of shock, because I didn't know that a guy like him would actually own a gun. And then I followed what was going on with his trial. It was a big trial. It's the biggest trial since O.J. Simpson. This is another guy that's fallen from grace, but I'm not really going to talk about him because it's sort of linked to this. Basically, with what's gone on with him, is that the trial was so open for the world to see. There were cameras everywhere. He was so distraught. He was so distraught through it all. He tried to plead as much as he could to say that what he'd done was an accident and everything. But he was convicted of culpable homicide, and now he was in prison. But I remember hearing that he is now released from prison. But he had to pay off his possessions and everything to actually get his trial to go forward and everything. He lost everything. But I don't know if he's released from prison, but I heard he has. But if he has, I don't know how he can actually move forward from it all. It's kind of sad, to be honest, because I would never own a gun, for one, and I would never put myself in that sort of situation. If I know who actually had access to my house and everything, then I know who would actually likely to come in. But sadly, it's just not the case. It's like an innocent girl got killed, and and I don't know how her family's doing at the moment, and I'm sure that they are carrying on, but they still remember her and everything, and rightly so. But you just don't do this sort of thing. You really don't. You really, really, really don't. But this is a guy that's fallen from grace. I don't know. I'm going to talk about Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods is probably, arguably, the best golfer of all time, and he's won numerous titles and everything. But one day he had a crash outside of his house. We thought nothing of what happened, to be honest. We thought, okay, he's going to get up and he was going to be all right and whatever. And then, lo and behold, there was a person that came forward that he actually had an affair with. I was like, okay. But then more people started coming in and saying that they had dealings with him, and he lost a load of sponsors. He lost a lot of them, and it didn't look good at all. His wife was in a divorce. I'm not sure about the status of his relationship with his children. I'm sure he's gonna try and rectify them and everything, but I know he has young children, but when they grow up and they see all this stuff that's happened, I don't know what they're gonna think of him then. I'm sure he'll sit them down and talk to them and whatever, but to have all that and to dealing with all that stuff, why would you want to be in that position? I say this with everything that's gone on, with talking with about the other guys, but it's just sad, very, very sad. He has returned back to golf. He was injured. He had a bit of injury and everything over the last few years, but he has returned back to golf, and he's trying to find his form again, which is key, to be honest. I'm sticking with another sporting legend. Well, he could have been a legend, but he's not a legend, and I'm talking about Lance Armstrong. I didn't write this guy down. I literally thought of him just now, and basically, this is a guy that won seven Tour de France's. I think it was 7, but it was 7. It was major titles that he won, and we all considered that he is a phenomenal athlete. But what happened was he lost. He took doping. Even when he was racing, and I was stunned because I thought, nah, he couldn't have. But then there was findings that he did, and sponsors he lost sponsors, and he lost sponsors. He lost his credibility, and Oprah interviewed him, and I remember watching the interview, and to be honest, I felt that Oprah was highly disappointed in him, and having to talk about all this stuff and everything about what happened. Why did he do it? Why would he want to put himself in this position? Because he said that he just felt like wanting to win. He wanted to win. He always wanted to have that power to wanting to win, the feeling of it all and everything. But then it just came to a point where things was going so wrong for him, and he just thought, like, let me just try to stop it and let me do it on my own. He didn't. He didn't win on his own. I think in one race, everybody expected him to win it. He actually came a few places below than what was expected. So yeah, I felt that it was just it was like it was a sad interview to watch, and I did feel a little bit angry towards him, because you kind of just feel like there's no heroes left in sport. None that you really want to look up to, none that you could actually aspire to, and try to think, yeah, it's not about having sponsorship deals, it's not about having having luxury houses or exotic cars or dating supermodels or whatever. It's about the fun of the sport, playing for the sport, playing for whatever team that if you're playing for a team and it's about the team, if it's for yourself, it's for yourself, you know. Try and etch your name in the history books and everything. And there's there's literally no heroes left in sport, as I said. Being a sports fan myself, I'm not gonna go into like all the heroes that I look up to in sport wise, but I'm saying that, you know, there needs to be an outlook on this. You know, who would you want to look forward to? Who you want your kids to look forward to? You know, because they're people that's paid the way to do certain things, and you know, you want to be like that person. But in truth, you have to be your own way. You have to go your own way. You know. But I'll talk about this a bit later on. I got one more person who I wanted to talk about real quick, and that's Bill Cosby. Now, my name's derived from The Cosby Show. It was a big American TV show back in the day, and it kind of spawned sitcoms from then on, to be honest. At that time, because it was a black family TV show, and me as a black person, it was relatable for all of us back then. So anyway, I was a fan of Bill Cosby from when I was a kid. He is a comedian, actor, writer, and I followed him, and I had huge respect for him about how he done things and everything. And yeah, apparently he's got himself caught up with allegations that he's been raping women from the 70s going right throughout his career, and he strongly denied them and everything. But he's lost his credibility. The Cosby Show lost its reruns on the American channel, as I remember, and I just kind of felt that he didn't deserve this. Why would he put himself through all this? Like, I'll say this again, you know, if I could believe that he's not done this, if I could meet him and actually ask him and see for himself to tell me that it's not so, I don't know. I really don't know. How can you not believe a guy that's not done this? And everything. To me, do I believe that he's done this? It's kind of hard to tell. In this day and age, it's different. You know, in this day and age, you need to be listened to. Back then, people just shut the door on you and just say, yeah, or whatever. Now, because we got more advances in science to prove, to help with crime solving and everything else, the fact that we got more surveillance everywhere, you know, the fact that we got social media now, it's kind of hard to say if I really truly believe these guys or not. It's just that all these guys that I mentioned have fallen from grace because, you know, they got themselves into a position where they shouldn't have been in the first place, you know. And I sit here thinking, as a man, what do we do about this? How can we live as better as men? And that links into what my next topic. How can we live better as men? Now, I think that we need to live better by doing the right thing, by literally just trying to work towards something as a man. And I think that we have to try and get good people around us, try and like stay true to the family, and being a person of who they know you as, you know, as a man, you know. Try and do the right thing. It's my best advice. I mean, people don't do the right thing. People just do things on the spur of the moment, and they just think that it's all wrong, and you know, they just want to say it's all right and everything. But you know, unless you talk about your issues, unless you say to yourself that, say, hey, I've got a problem, and I need help, no one's gonna help. No one's gonna know. You know, we men kind of keep things in ourselves. We keep it in wherever problem we got. We keep it in ourselves. Where regard is like that, but we should be able to come out and speak about it. We should be able to say that, look, we need to actually help ourselves in order to move forward. If we can't cope with certain things, right, whether it's to do with fame, whether it's to do with relationships, whether it's to do with work and everything else, do the honest thing with yourself and try and find somebody who you can talk to that may be able to give you advice. Maybe you need a shoulder to cry on. Maybe you need maybe you just need to do something that kind of makes you forget about something else. I'm not saying take drugs. I'm saying go and do things that make you happy, to make you forget about the problem. Take a drive somewhere and let yourself think about it. Go to a nice restaurant. Treat yourself. Go and shop. Go and shop for nice clothes. If you see a bargain somewhere, treat yourself. You know, you shouldn't really having to put yourself through the stresses and strains of life, you know, just so that you can, you know, like, function. You know, like, yes, we have to work hard in life. We all have to. But we do have to have a little bit of fun ourselves. But doing these sort of things, with the guys I just mentioned, doing these sort of things and trying to get yourself in that sort of situation isn't, like, fun. It can cost you big time, you know. And I just say to people that we need to go on better as men. We do need to talk. We do need to get some sort of an effort in to make sure that we don't lose what we already worked so hard for. So I'm going to move on, and I'm going to talk about if there's a way back from making mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. I don't care if it's men, women, child, everybody makes mistakes. If there's a way back from making mistakes, obviously you have to work on your issues, like I just said before. And these, obviously, with these guys making the mistakes, I'm sure that they're doing what they could to kind of rectify them. But sometimes it's too little too late. It's sometimes you cannot solve everything. I know myself that I tried to solve problems, but you just can't do anything about it because the pain is already there. The way somebody actually thinks about you when they first thought about you has changed, and there's nothing that you can do to actually get them to change your mind. Not your mind, their mind about you. There's nothing you can do. And then you have to kind of live with that. And it links to my next topic. If you have made mistakes, could you live with it? I've made mistakes as well, and I have to live with living with my mistakes. Obviously, on a personal level, I've done things that I'm not proud of. I've not killed anybody, if you're asking. I've not done anything like that. But I've made mistakes, and as much I can say sorry to people that I've hurt and everything else, the truth of the matter is that we have to live with it as much as we can do. I know it hurts, and I know it's going to be tough when when you're seeing somebody that you had your part in your life and everything, and they go on to do better things, and you're there trying to soul search and everything. The truth of the matter is, this is life. This is life, and I think that we have to kind of be better from it all. I think we have to learn our lessons. I think that we have to forgive yourself. That's the main thing I want to say to people as well. Forgive yourself. You know, if you can't forgive yourself, you know, you have to kind of and be open to try to be more than who you are. You know, be true to who you are. You know, there's no need for you. There's no need for you to get to the point where you're in a phase of wallowing. There's no need. I think that you got to be rising above what you have faced, you know, and just kind of move on from it or be stronger. And that's the way it is, really. So I just wanted to talk about that. Okay. On a lighter note, so we come to the end of the podcast, and this is my topic, not my topic, my segment of Extraordinary Person of the Week. And it's no brainer who I'm going to give this to. This man has made us all think. He has a wicked sense of humor. He's a bloody nice guy. And I think also we should be in awe of people like this guy, because people like him come around once in a generation, I feel. And I'm talking about Stephen Hawking, who sadly died. And when I read about him and everything, this guy is so inspirational and so funny, and I think that he has kind of got us into, obviously people out there are pursuing science because of him. Me, as a person, I'm looking for lots further than that. Even though I've seen his biopic film, The Theory of Everything, I've looked at that and I thought to myself, you know what? I've looked at what he's been talking about, and we have to kind of delve into the fact that there's a lot more going on in the world. That there's a lot more. There's just so much more. It's bigger than all of us. And one thing that I like to do is I kind of like to look at the stars. Like, I know that I don't really see much stars from where I live and everything, but I look at the stars when I can. And when they twinkle out, I always kind of think to myself that there's just so much more out there. There's so much bigger things around us and everything, you know. And I just kind of remember what he talks about and everything. And I respect him. So, Stephen Hawking, you have earned my title of Extraordinary Person of the Week. And we will never forget you. And I know you're resting amongst the stars now. And you know, you've lived an extraordinary life, and I respect you. And I hope you continue to, and I know you will actually, you will inspire future scientists to come. Maybe they'll have their part in saving the planet, curing diseases, doing so much more to actually help us the way that you did. So I want to thank him for that. And I want to thank you guys for listening to my podcast. Please give me any comments, any suggestions of how I can actually make the show better. It would help me. It would help you. You can also get in touch with my social media. On Facebook, it's Theo Samuels. On Twitter, it is Theo_Samuels. On Instagram, it's Theo Samuels 11, and on Snapchat, it's T_Swoosh11. I'm a Nike fan, that's why I kind of got my name. So there. I'm on all forms of social media. So give me a bell. Let me know what you think about this podcast, and I will catch you on the next one very soon. So peace out, people.
you once, and I'll tell you twice. The way I feel, here's my advice. I told you once, and I'll tell you twice.